Good morning again, everybody. Welcome once again to Realtree Land Pro Fridays. We talk about everything from real estate, hunting, outdoors, you name it. We got a good one to share this morning, don't we?
Anything we can do in beautiful Mississippi outdoors.
That's right. That's right. If you caught last week's show, we were talking about getting ready for alligator season. And Keith, you want to start out by telling us a little bit about it and how things went?
It was an experience. It was my first time ever out hunting a crocodile. You know, it looked big as a crocodile. I know they get a lot bigger, but alligators, they're nothing to sneeze at. It was an experience, guys. It got intense. It didn't take as long as I expected. I figured we'd be there all night.
Yeah.
But we were home by midnight.
We really were.
We had a good night and a good turnout with only one minor injury.
Yeah.
Or it might not have been minor to Chris, but it was minor to us.
That's true. So tell us a little bit. You don't got to tell the exact location, but you can tell us a little bit about what we did.
You want me to give GPS coordinates?
Don't do that.
Okay.
But you can tell us a little bit about what we did and how it all started.
Folks, talk about being out in the great Mississippi outdoors. There's not a lot of places you can go and get you something good to eat. Be in a nice restaurant. 30 minutes later, we're putting in the water, and we're headed to a site that's a lot of people probably don't know about, but to be doing what we were doing, it was beginning to get dark. We got into the location we went, and you shine a light out and see those eyes floating in the water out there. It's pretty awesome. It's an otherworldly experience almost.
You realize you're in a different world.
Right.
Keith's right. It was a great night in the sense that we went to eat at a really nice restaurant. And, it was good food, and we left there in literally 30 minutes, and we were out in the middle of nowhere. And it's a pretty cool experience. It's not often you can find places like that where you can go hunt and enjoy such a good time together with friends and enjoy a good meal, and then literally 30 minutes later you're right where you need to be. And in the middle of nowhere, it's getting dark. It's pretty cool. So we got there. We saw one early, didn't we?
Yeah, saw one kind of eased over there, made a few casts in there at him using
he was a small one.
Yeah, he was a little bit small, and but he kind of outfoxed us.
He did. Those treetops, which they typically do, and you can't really cast up in there very well, can you? We learned that the hard way. But then we saw set eyes further down the river, so we went down that way and got close to him. And I swear the alligator did not look that big.
No,
to me,
I mean, that, like I say, my first experience, I really couldn't tell by the eyes, you know.
Yeah.
But because a lot of times the gator, that's all they'll have out of the water is just the eyes and top of their head there, and the rest of the body will be hanging down perpendicular to them.
So we saw this thing, we thought maybe 8 foot or so.
Yeah.
Let's just try to catch him and get some good practice in him. You know. So we hooked him. We did it at first. He got away from us.
He was up by the bank there, and he was laying right up against the bank, started tossing. Eyes went down, and we kept tossing, hoping we'd get a snag him, and never did, and then turned and flashed a light back out of this. There he is right there.
He was just behind us.
He done gone in the water and come back up behind us. But
we repositioned and got a good cast on him and hooked him. And I think I hooked him first, and then Keith hooked him. You hooked him next.
Yeah.
Right? Explain what that was like when you hooked that thing.
Listen, I threw it out there and wasn't sure I felt like I had a good cast on him and pulled in. When I felt it contact something, I reared back, set the hook, and it set on me. It started pulling back. And next thing you know, we're being dragged around out there. 5 grown men in how long is this boat? 18-foot boat. And that thing is dragging us around the water like we were nothing.
Yeah, it was pretty exciting. And we got several hooks in him. And long story short, we got him up to the boat. It took, I don't know how long it took us. I'm guessing 45 minutes to an hour to get him up finally.
Yeah.
And he was exhausted, and we're looking at him and trying to see him actually. And he was hooked in the tail pretty badly. We had a rope with a big treble hook on it that we had thrown out there and hooked on him. And it also was hooked in the tail. And so Chris, good old Chris, that Marine, he just thought he was invincible, right?
Yeah, what did they say? If what doesn't kill you makes you stronger?
Yeah.
He ought to be a strong fella.
He ought to be right now. Because he proceeds to reach down and he's going to grab that big treble hook and pull it out of his tail, and then he's going to use it to throw it out there and hook him in the head and bring him up. And you ever wanted to say something, but you were so excited you were like you couldn't say it quick enough? No. I tried to say no, and it was too late. He already grabbed it and started wiggling. And when he did, of course, the little gator felt that and started thrashing. And guess what? The little hook went right into Chris's hand. And just like that, I mean, he was hooked to it. And a lot of things flashed through your mind, like, oh my gosh, he's going to end up in the water with this thing. You know?
We had a gator and a jarhead on the hook.
And you know, as quickly as it happened to Chris and others, I don't know who actually pulled it out. Somebody pulled it out.
Yeah.
And he was loose from it. In a matter of seconds, he was loose from it. But then you look at his hand, and of course, it's just bleeding. And you know, you could tell by his demeanor, it hurt. I mean, it hurt him. It did. And it surprised him.
It hurt me looking at it.
It hurt us just looking at it, right? So, but anyway, I was like, Chris, man, we need to stop and apply first aid. And he's like, I'm fine. Let's just keep going. And we did, didn't we? Just kept, kind of wrapped it with some electrical tape. That's all we had at the time. And just kept on going. And we pulled it up and measured it. And we estimated him to be about 12 feet. He turned out to be 11 foot 8 inches. Is that right?
Yeah.
But about 395 pounds. So, and again, that was within an hour of us starting hunting. And we really debated whether or not we're going to turn him back or not. But then we got to measure him and said, you know, we can't throw this thing back. He's too big to throw back. So we decided to keep him. So we were finished early, really. It was an exciting night. It was over before it ever started. So
yeah.
Got home earlier than normal, and here we go. We had it. So it was an exciting time.
Good. I'm ready for next year.
Yeah, I think Keith's hooked on it now. Literally. I know Chris is hooked on it.
Chris is hooked, yeah, for sure.
I think Chris, he's 2 for 2, right? He's been gator hunting twice.
He got 100. He and I are 100% on our gator hunts. Yeah.
Can't beat that.
I'm 1 for 1.
Y'all are our good luck charms. We got to have you out there every time. All right, we're going to take just a few minutes. I know we got a little bit of time. We just want to talk a little bit about real estate in the sense of, you know, I got to thinking the other day that there are a lot of people who own land and who buy and sell land. But if you really think about it, Keith, it really is a very small percentage of people that actually buy and sell land. And I got to think about all the family and friends that I have. There's really only a handful, if you think about it, that actually own land other than their house or, you know, whatever land their house sits on. So when someone invests in property, it really is a big deal, and it's important to those individuals who invest in property. I got to thinking about, you know, what are some reasons why people would want to buy property? So we're going to take just a minute to talk about some of those reasons. So let's just start from the top, Keith. What are some of those? Just what is the first reason?
The first would be outdoor recreation. I mean, you might want to buy you a piece of land. It's on a nice river or a nice lagoon somewhere with plenty of gators where you'd be ready to go. You have your one tied out when the season rolls around, or deer hunting. That's one of your biggest reasons. Your deer hunters, or if you can find a combination property, hunting, fishing.
You were involved in selling one in Louisiana that offered duck hunting, deer hunting.
Right. It was out in 320 acres out in the middle of a wide open soybean plantation, but they had it where they could dam it up.
It was timber.
They could pump.
There's 320 acres of timber.
Good hardwood timber. I mean, and it was beautiful. I mean, they could pump water in there and flood it and make it excellent for duck hunting.
Yeah, that was a good investment for that buyer. He's going to have years and years of enjoyment, and I guarantee you, when he gets ready to sell it, he won't have a problem selling that place, just based on location and what it offers. He's only going to improve it, so it's going to be more.
Right. He's going to continue to put his touches on it and make it his, and that's one of the big things about buying, on property. Is make it what you want it to be.
That's right. So recreation is probably the number one. Number two is just farming and agribusiness itself. I grew up on a farm, grew up on a dairy farm, and at the time I didn't realize what we had really. I mean, my daddy raised cows, beef cows, dairy cows, hogs, you name it, we had it. And that's how you made a living. A lot of people did back then. But now you don't have as many farmers as you used to, especially the small farms. But one of the main reasons why people invest in property is to add to their farm. They want to raise cows, maybe they want to start a poultry business, right? So, and that's how they make their living, is from that land, from that farm.
I've never owned a chunk of land myself. I right now own 1.8 acres it's in my name,
Right.
in Lincoln County. But I did grow up. My dad had 50 acres that he raised some cattle on, and I remember many times him waking me up in the middle of the night. Come on, we got a bull jump through the fence. We got to get him back over on our side of the fence. And that might be why I don't fool cows now. But we had that, and later years, Daddy let it go. But I did grow up in that environment.
I think a lot of people did have fond memories of that. Another aspect is timber and investing because of timber. And even though timber prices are still low compared to what they were a couple of decades ago, it's still a good investment, right? I mean, timber is still a good investment.
Right. Prices of timber
It fluctuates.
they go up and down constantly. I mean, you've got to watch it like the stock market.
Right.
But it is a good investment in the long run for your family.
Another one is conservation, and again, it's about protecting the natural land's beauty and resources. And what's popular, one of the things that's popular now is people enroll their property into a conservation organization. It's not an organization, it's called conservation easement.
Right.
Where it's the land is set aside, it can't be developed in the future to a subdivision or something like that. It can stay a wetland or whatever it may be.
And a big part of that 320 acres that we just sold in Louisiana was in a conservation.
And that's attractive to a buyer who's looking for a property to hunt. They realize that it's been in this situation, it's been in at this state for a long period of time, and it'll continue. Even after I sell it, it'll continue to.
Right. It's limited what the owner can do on it because of that conservation easement. But in this new buyer's,
It fell right in his wheelhouse, right?
Yeah, that's what he wanted.
That's what he wanted. So it was an attraction to him. The next reason is, of course, homesteading. And you see this more and more since the pandemic, since 2020. People are leaving the city and moving to the country, right? This is happening all over the country. And we've sold tracts of land recently to people from major cities such as New Orleans and the Baton Rouge area that are moving here, Southwest Mississippi, because they want to live on a farm, right?
Right. They're going to set up. They may not necessarily want to own the cows, but they're looking for people that can
Lease it out.
lease it out to them, or do a swap. Let the people take care of that have the cows, take care of the fences and things like that, and keep the hay cut and everything. But and that's basically all that is, homesteading, moving in out of your urban areas and out into the country and set up to live there.
Another aspect of why people buy property is it helps to build wealth. And I'm a believer in that, in the sense of, there are people who may come into money in the sense maybe they've inherited some cash or something like that. Taking that money and investing it in something like land is a pretty sound investment. It really is. And I tell this story all the time. There's an old story talked about when you're in a barber shop, say 20 years ago, and people sit around and they say, I could have bought the Smith farm for $800 an acre. And I wish I'd have done that. And now what's the conversation like in the barber shop? Well, I could have bought the Smith farm for $3,000 an acre. I didn't do it. What's it going to be 20 years from now?
Right.
We don't know. But the truth is the price of land continues to go up. It just continues to be more valuable because the old saying is about making more, right?
Yeah, I can hear a lot of places, growing up in the Collins and Hattiesburg area, a lot of places out west of Hattiesburg. But I think, I wish I had the money to buy some land out there. 'Cause right now, some of the prices they're getting for that land.
It's amazing. It really is. Another reason why people buy, and I can identify with this, is called rural heritage. And what that simply means is these are people who grew up on a farm and who remember what it was like. And now as they got older, that's it's kind of their way to going back home, if you will. And I can identify with that. I grew up on a farm, and as a 17, 18-year-old kid, I'll be honest, there were times I couldn't wait to move and go do something else. But I didn't realize how good I had it. I mean, I'll be honest, now that I've gotten older, I realize that, you know, by working on that farm with my brothers and daddy and mama, it probably kept me out of trouble. I mean, I know it did. And I wouldn't have, you know, I was too busy doing something else besides getting in trouble. And, you know, it built a foundation, and now that's part of the reasons why I love owning land, because I remember, I mean, I love riding on that tractor. We talked about this, right? It's nothing, it's a tractor therapy. We just get on there and push all the disc and take care of your property. It just, all those memories flood back in. You're like, I remember doing this as a kid with my brothers. And yeah, we fought and carried on, but we also had some really good times. You tend not to remember that until you get a little bit older. And so I think that's one of the reasons why people invest in properties, because they want to kind of go back to what they remember when they were younger and embrace that.
And try to get their families involved.
That's
and so they will have
kids and
those memories
grandkids.
down the road.
So they'll build memories. And again, those kids are just like they were at that time.
Right.
Daddy, I don't want to hang out here every weekend. There's no internet service. There's nothing to do. Yeah, there is. You just got to look for it.
That's right.
And so anyway, that's a big reason. And then the last one, as we just try to wrap up here, is pride of ownership. I mean, I'll be honest, over the last decade or so, I've been fortunate to buy a few tracts of land. Nothing big, but I've been able to buy them, improve them, turn around and sell them, and make a profit off of it. And during that time, you get to experience the pride of ownership. You own the property. I mean, it's in your name, right? And you can do whatever the heck you want to do. I mean, you can.
Right, and you can, you know, you got the pride of knowing there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that gone into that property.
And you're not always going to get all your money back that you put into that, but during that time frame that you've owned it, you've enjoyed it. For me, I've gotten to hunt on it, I've got to take my kids out and enjoy that part. You know, and my plan is, as my kids grow older and get married and start their own families, I'll have grandkids. And we can go out and enjoy those days too. So it really is a good opportunity to get out and not only enjoy the pride of ownership, but just to get out and enjoy nature. It really is a nice thing. You don't realize how much you don't enjoy that until you don't have it, if that makes any sense. If you used to being outside and you find yourself in a position where you can't spend time outdoors, you notice it. And so anyway, thank you, Keith. Appreciate you.
Thank you, and y'all stay tuned and join us in the beautiful Mississippi outdoors.
Appreciate you, Randy.
Oh, sure thing, sure thing. I was looking forward to hearing the story.
Did it stop, Keith?